Hello guys, welcome back to another fantastic episode. This is episode 35 of my journey of building a logistics trucking business from scratch. I hope you've learned a lot from the previous episodes. You can see how hard it is to come from the bottom up. The journey started with me having to work for someone else, then I bought my first truck. From there, it has been a great journey. I have learned a lot from using leverage, having to employ a driver, and so many amazing adventures across Europe. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you will have an amazing time with me here. Today, I will be transporting forklifts to Hanover. Along the way, I will be giving you some tips about some amazing books to read which have been important in my life. They are just amazing books covering life lessons and business advice. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Put on your seatbelts as we head to Hanover and have fun. I remember the first time I got my hands on a self-improvement book. I was baffled. At that moment, I realized my fate was not set in stone. I could become my own drill master and coach. The books I read would set out the training course for me to overcome. All I had to do was listen to that voice that aspired to climb higher and higher. Every time I committed to a new challenge, I knew it was going to be outside of my comfort zone. But after enough iterations, I also knew it will not just be part of my repertoire, it will be part of me. Not all self-improvement books are made equal. Some help starts you out on your journey, others give you a boost when you've achieved experience in certain areas. Here are the best ones that I recommend to read no matter how old you are. Number 1, What Ya Gonna Do With That Duck? By Seth Godin. This book is a masterpiece, and unlike most self-improvement books, this one targets an infinite array of areas in which you can, and ultimately must improve. With its ruthless honesty and genuine inspiration, Godin makes you ponder the difficult questions you wouldn't ever dare to ask yourself. The result is a completely new perspective of the world, a fresher, more vibrant perspective, packed with new and bold possibilities. If you need a friend who understands you, a boss that forces you to venture deep into your non-comfort zone, a wise guru that tells you what needs to be left behind, and a sage that proclaims the coming of a new age, then look no further. You will find these shrewd voices all tied together in this magnificent book. Make sure to get this one. Number 2, Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Nicholas Taleb. Perhaps it is the fact that randomness played such a significant role in my years as a poker player that I find this book utterly important. We often attribute skill where there is only luck, we confuse correlation with causation, and we underestimate the incredible effect small changes can have. This book gave me a perspective that I unfortunately rarely encounter in others. You can do everything right and still lose, or do everything wrong and still win. It is thus not about the outcome, it is about the actions that have to lead you there. This important message is central to many of the decisions I make in my life. This book by Taleb helps you develop such a perspective, so you will be able to live in a world one cannot fully understand, where the results are not always clear markers of performance, and where chance seems to play games with our fates. Stop being fooled by randomness. Number 3, The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. I read this book at a time where I thought power was something I should attain. Power for power's sake. And while I disagree with my former self on this point, the fact remains that power is very real. It forms the invisible scepter of all hierarchical relations around us. I still recommend this book. I believe it is important to know how people use power for their own benefit, and what to do to protect themselves from certain abuses of power. Besides the fact that all stories in this book gravitate around power, it contains many life lessons, amazing historical anecdotes. If read in a certain light, the ability to use power for good. From Caesar to Goethe, Sun Tzu to Machiavelli, this eye-opening book spans a wide range of human development. If you, like me, would rather be interested in something less egotistical, perhaps Green's latest book Mastery will suffice. I haven't read that one myself. Another great book in the same style, but this time around, covering a wider scope, and perhaps, something that will make the world make a better place. Number 4, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. The title of this book doesn't capture it all. Covey shares with us 7 habits one should adapt to become truly effective in whatever you would like to achieve. Of course, it is not as easy as it sounds. He stresses the fact that we need to go through a paradigm shift, a fundamental change in how we perceive the world and ourselves. This book can be read as a guide, with practices and everything, to go through the stages in order to make such a shift happen. Part shock therapy, part ageless spiritual wisdom, Covey's book is packed with wisdom that actually makes a difference. And as I mentioned, don't let the title of the book fool you. It is about much more than just becoming more effective. It is about becoming a whole integer person who not only seeks the best in oneself, but also in the people around her. A must-read for anyone who feels there is always something left to learn. Number 5, The Psychedelic Explorer's Guide by James Fadiman. While finding a book on psychedelics in this list of books on self-improvement might come as a surprise, I believe any metaphysical distinction between tools such as books, meditation, or molecules holds no ground. They should all be solely judged on their merits. And the merits of certain chemical keys, used in a constructive way, are perhaps bigger than any book in this list. The Psychedelic Explorer's Guide will teach you how to prepare yourself and your surroundings, what and how much to take, and what to do when something goes wrong. So you can safely enhance your thinking, creativity, introspection, and emotional balance. This book contains everything you need to know about using psychedelics as a tool for self-improvement while drawing on extensive scientific literature and personal wisdom. A must-have for the beginning and experienced psychonaut alike. Number 6, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. We all know how the destructive downward spiral feels. We have to do some big tasks of which the thought alone triggers resistance. We aren't sure how and where to begin and feeling overwhelmed before we even start. We get easily distracted to get rid of that feeling, only to suddenly realize that hours went by, precious hours, and then find ourselves in the same position as before, still not knowing where and how to begin, but now, feeling guilty on top of it, which expresses itself in more craving for distraction. To break this spell of procrastination before it paralyzes us, Tracy advises us to eat that frog, to set our priorities straight, deconstruct larger tasks into smaller ones, learn when to tackle the big frog first, or start out with something else. Tracy is truly a motivational writer. While I wished he had gone a bit deeper into the psychological reasons why people procrastinate, it is still a must-have for anyone who wants to break the spell and get shit done. Number 7, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. From 1937, this book by Hill is a masterpiece. Don't bother with the edited versions, since they all omit important and controversial information, some historical, and some pertaining to the goal of the book, which is to think and grow rich. The word rich might imply that this book is all about material gain, and while it certainly covers that area, it is about much more than that. This is perhaps the first explicit mention of positive thinking on how to care not just about the cash in your pocket, but also the thoughts in your head. This book has been able to withstand the destruction of time. It covers all the basics from planning, decision-making, and persistence, to the more advanced techniques as autosuggestion, transmutation, and what we can learn from fear. This is not a grow-rich book, but a timeless guide to find out what actually matters. As it says clearly in the beginning, riches can't always be measured in money. Number 8, The Attention Revolution by Alan Wallace. In a world that is dominated by ever stronger technologies designed to grab your attention, a way to empower yourself is to bring that attention back to where you want it to shine. This book offers just that. In The Attention Revolution, Wallace describes the path to attaining shamatha, a Buddhist meditation state of mind that is free from any flickering of distraction. It is a hard and long path, probably not possible for us to reach in this lifetime. However, even getting to stage 2 or 3 will make everything in life easier. A wonderful introduction to meditation, the Attention Revolution will inspire you to take on the challenge and see what training your mind can actually achieve. Once you have achieved such a level of focus, you can put it to use to open your heart with the practice of the 4 immeasurables or deepen the practice with this wonderful commentary by Dudjom Lingpa, both by Alan Wallace. Number 9, The Paleo Manifesto by John Durant. In the last 10,000 years or so, it seems we have been propelled into an ever faster-paced world forged by our own hands and minds. Only recently have we been able to reconstruct our journey and reflect back upon our humble origins. This amazing book is such a reflection. It goes back to the Paleolithic searching for answers to health and longevity. Between science and his personal experiments, Durant weaves a mind-blowing story that will convey the importance of an evolutionary perspective on how to live well. It covers everything from nutrition to exercise, from sleep to fasting, from ancient practices to modern biohacking, and even has an outline for a vision of the future where depression and obesity have become obsolete. If you only have room for a couple of books on this list, make sure this one is included. Number 10, Mindsight by Daniel Siegel. As my Burmese meditation teacher often proclaimed, mindfulness alone is not enough. Siegel seems to have taken this to heart and made a unique synthesis between meditation, psychoanalysis, and neuroscience which he calls Mindsight. As he says himself, a potent combination of emotional and social intelligence. All of us deal with one disorder or another, something that seems to disturb the very core of our being at ease, and while it might not always be the best strategy to want to get rid of it, it certainly helps to understand and have compassion for that little aspect that upsets that perfect image of ourselves. Brimming with techniques, insights, and epiphanies, this book contains everything you need to know to reprogram your brain and to optimally use its capacity of neuroplasticity. A great book for spiritual seekers and scientists alike. Number 11, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is the first self-improvement book I have ever read, and it is also probably one of the oldest in this category. Written in 1937, mainly for the door-to-door salesman of that era, this book by Carnegie can truly be called a classic. It shows what we all intuitively know. It doesn't matter what your line of work is or what you want to achieve. If you are doing business of any kind, you need to make it about the other person. Being nice helps a lot. And while I might not fully defend the premise of this book, because it doesn't distinguish between genuine interest and faking it to get what you want, it still contains a treasure chest full of timeless wisdom. Everybody wants to feel appreciated, and rightfully so. Learning to take a small effort to make someone's day will make the world better no matter what your goal is. I still spontaneously remember some of his guidance, and perhaps this quality is the reason why this book still draws millions of readers to this day. Number 12, Feeling Good by David Burns. Cognitive behavioral therapy is the most effective therapy used by psychologists today. It consists of identifying thought patterns that have a detrimental effect on your self-image and mood, and deconstructing these in order to break out of these destructive cycles. If you want to know how this works, which moods are central in your life, what thought patterns are causing your depression, how to overcome self-judgment and guilt, how to defeat approval and love addiction, and how your self-perfectionism is hindering you, then don't look further. Cognitive behavioral therapy has helped millions of people, and it can help you, and this is the best book for the job. Packed with scientific research, exercises, and examples, this is the best improvement yourself is going to get. Number 13, The New Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. What can a plastic surgeon tell us about happiness? By dealing with his patients, Dr. Maxwell Maltz experienced firsthand that having your expectations come true doesn't automatically result in a more positive life experience. Their outward appearances did indeed change, but their inner insecurity remained. This caused him to find other means to help his patients, resulting in visualization techniques. He found a person's outer success can never rise above the one visualized internally. This book carries a very honest and humbling story, loaded with fundamental truths about our psychology and how our own philosophy affects us. This is all told by a very compassionate writer. Of some books, it can be said that it will be valuable for years to come, and I am absolutely positive that this is one of them. Number 14, Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. This brilliant book by Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman is a lucid account of all the amazing research he has done over the years. He is the founder of behavioral economics, the way our psychology affects our decisions, and explains in simple prose how our thinking is divided into two systems, one fast and one slow. The fast one is almost instant. It consists of the hardwired instincts that govern emotions, a remnant of an evolutionary past, an unconscious irrational machine. The slow one is deliberate, self-reflexive, and logical, but can easily be distracted and takes a lot of effort. Both play a large role in our lives, and Kahneman explores when the fast system fails, and why the slow system is often not utilized. Packed with mind-blowing examples and sharp analyses, this book teaches you how to learn to make sound judgments and use the best of both systems. Number 15, An Astronaut's Guide to Life on Earth by Chris Hadfield. A few extraordinary people journey to the edge of our world and come back with a unique story to tell. Colonel Hadfield is such a person, and his story is perhaps the most important one in this list. While the other books in this list teach you to be independent, visualize your future, and dream big, this astronaut's guide turns these all upside down. A truly remarkable book, overflowing with mind-blowing stories that illustrate the life lessons he learned as one of the most accomplished astronauts that ever lived. Full of compassion, warmth, and genuine self-reflexive humor, he conveys to us to be prepared for the worst and never let ourselves be swayed from enjoying every moment. Part action story, part no-nonsense hard truth, and part timeless spiritual wisdom, this book makes you feel like you stepped onto a rocket ship and experienced what he did while learning these most valuable lessons on the way. Number 16, Perfect Health Diet by Paul Jaminet and Xochitl Jaminet. No self-improvement list is complete without a nutrition book, and the Perfect Health Diet is arguably the best diet book on the market now. If you are overweight or not, feel sick, or just looking for an extra boost in health, and keep it this way, then look no further. From reading decades of studies, the authors construct the optimal way to eat, destroying popular food fads in the process. They explain in sufficient detail the optimal macro ratios of which starches are safe, which vitamins and supplements to take, and what foods, or what they call toxins, to avoid. This book is a great supplement to the Paleo Manifesto as it shares its basic evolutionary perspective. We were evolved to eat non-toxic, high-fat, moderate protein, and carbohydrates. And sometimes, going around with no food at all can be a very healthy thing. If your body is not in optimal health, then it is almost no use to read the other books. Make this your priority number 1. Number 17, Failing Forward by John C. Maxwell. At one time or another, we will all fail. What matters most is how you deal with it once you do. Will you give up? Or will you use it as a stepping stone for success? I recently read an article about new startups in Silicon Valley. Its hypothesis was the more you had failed in the past, the more likely you were going to get funding. Why? Because failing teaches you invaluable lessons, and if you decide to continue after you hit the pavement, the more you have it in you to deliver. Now, this is not in any way our instinctual reaction to failing. Most of us dread it, avoid it, or refuse to fail at all costs. All three are by far suboptimal. It is far better to accept failure where it arises, to accept responsibility, and use it as a way to learn about yourself and your weaknesses. Only when you are absolutely honest with yourself with respect to failure can you hope to grow. This wonderful book will teach you how to do exactly this. An honest book for everyone searching for a clean mirror. Number 18, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The Power of Now hardly needs any introduction. It is perhaps the book that has had the most impact on our collective consciousness in recent years. It inspired millions of people all over the world to live a more fulfilling and compassionate life, all through the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness consists of moment-to-moment non-judgmental awareness. It is a technique that alleviates depression, increases emotional intelligence, and develops compassion. And only recently has come to the West, which remained weary and skeptical until science had validated a wide array of its claims. The brain can be trained. The Power of Now teaches you how to release your attachment to certain thoughts and states of mind, thereby clearing the mind to fully embrace the present moment. Number 19, The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. At some point or another, almost all of us have come across The Last Lecture by Randy Pausch. What would you say when you only have a few months left to live? This was probably Pausch's question he posed to himself when he had to deliver his lecture a week later. But being confined to an academic setting in short time frame, he felt he had more to share, thus marking the birth of this book. Filled with stories about his childhood, it is a very down-to-earth exploration of what it means to chase your dreams, to be a good person, and live a life that gives value to others. A beautiful mixture of humor and optimism, his tender voice will be a source of inspiration for everyone who will take the time to listen, something he tried to impart to his readers. A very lovely read. And don't forget, it's not about the cards you're dealt, but how you play the hand. Number 20, Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. I love Brené Brown's books. She writes about an insight that I have found to be scary but true at the same time. Vulnerability, unlike what we have been taught, is not a weakness but a power to be tapped. Growing up with the idea that we have to hide certain parts of ourselves, to look strong and persevere at all costs, always seemed a facade to me. And now she has the research to back that up. From that place of vulnerability comes a sense of worthiness, which for most of us, needs to be cultivated every day. Only if we get in touch with that tender spot of our hearts can we connect with others and develop genuine compassion, which is a prerequisite, Brown tells us, for living a wholehearted life. The reality, however, is that we often close down, feel neglected and misunderstood, and rather want the vulnerability and perhaps even ourselves to disappear. Now that you've got a list of the most inspirational books to improve your life, what should you do next? Read them all? It's of course best to read them all, but we only have so much brain energy to take all this knowledge. What if I tell you there's a way to boost your brain power? This is a topic I will cover in our next video. I'm having some trouble here. Hold on guys as I try to maneuver. I think I can do this. Hold on. This is proving to be impossible. I hope I complete the job, if not, I will have to cancel. Hold on guys. I will simply cancel the job. It has proven to be impossible to get in there. Thanks for watching. Until next time, bye.